Hey Soulcal pals, so it's me again making another costume showcase video. So I had a personal mission for myself, which is to make a costume for every single character's secondary costume, and obviously I got hung up by making like a bazillion for Seong Mi-na, but regardless, it is now done. So Zasalamel was actually the last character I did, because I've never been that fond of him, never played him myself, but for this costume, I was really inspired by the whole Templar sort of steampunk vibe when I was making this. The reason I decided to do steampunk is Zasalamel is quite the educated fellow. Obviously, he's existed for perhaps millennia, so I feel like if anyone's going to have a technology vibe to them of the current cast, other than 2B obviously, it's going to be Zasalamel. So you'll need to notice in this that I threw in a lot of cogs there to give that mechanical feeling. Further here on his top, I ended up layering some stickers, black, to make it look like the leather on the top was a little bit bigger than it actually is. Sort of symbolizes, that part of the fabric is skin tight. And I think it turned out okay. Looks pretty good. So next up we have a Seong Mi-na that took me a lot of time to make. And it's obviously a wasp Seong Mi-na. It's pretty apparent. So when I was making this, I actually had a close-up picture of a wasp on the side and was sort of going back and forth selecting patterns. And a few things that surprised me about it is initially I used sort of the tiger print pattern all across the armor. And I found that it actually made it look less like a wasp. And when you actually look at a wasp very close up, it does have like streaks and lines like a tiger, but it also has black and yellow sort of blotches. So I find the pattern that you see on the legs and the shoulders actually quite a lot more realistic overall. So the three colors I really focused on, yellow, black, and brown, because as I found out, the stinger of the wasp is actually brown, so you'll see I put that detail on her stinger, and as well her spear tip there is accented sort of in the same brown that a wasp stinger is. I made her stinger with a heart and threw in a horn in there, and I mean the stinger looks friggin' great, I think. Another little subtle detail that I put in there that's a little bit hard to notice is I put a black sticker on her chest, because when you're wearing 2B's costume, usually the chest is revealed, and it just is so bright and pink that if you didn't put a black sticker there, it just really makes it lose its vibe completely. Anyhow, this is actually, I think it looks pretty nice. Let me know what you think. So my next costume is a Tira inspired by Jack the Ripper and dressed up in clothing that was sort of themed around London in the 1800s and 1900s. There's two details on this costume that I want to talk about. One, I gave her these little armbands, and there's this African pattern, I forget what number it's called. It almost looks like little continents, but I put that all around her armbands, and I put just shades of red slightly off, because I want to imagine that, she's a murderer, and so basically to cover the stains that she gets on her jacket, she wraps fabric around her arms. So anyhow, when you look really close, you'll notice that the arms look like they're covered in dry blood, which is really cool. Another item, I created this little waist bag on her back that I connected to her with the French-made brim objects. One for a handle in the back and one for a waistband on the front. I took this idea from someone who I saw make a backpack on the website 8-Way Run, and the backpack was awesome. I initially tried to do that for Tira, but because her shoulders move too much and she has multiple stances, it clips too much and doesn't look good on her in play. So yeah, I want to throw that in there. Anyhow, I think this turned out good. There's lots of subtle details there, but no need to talk about them all. So next we have another Seong Mi-na, and I'm really, really stoked about this one. So the theme for this Seong Mi-na was retro sci-fi. So I was thinking sci-fi from like the 40s, 50s, when everything was black and white, and I think that was around the black and white era. Anyhow, sci-fi villains at this time, they'd always wear super, super tight clothes, capes, big shoulder pads, and ginormous helmets with huge goggles. This is what they viewed the future to be like at that time. So I really wanted to make this cheesy sci-fi alien, and I think I did that well there. I'm pretty stoked about it. A big challenge for me at first was determining the color scheme. I was really overthinking it. Initially it was reds and golds and silvers, but then I'm like, wait a minute, all that stuff was in black and white. The entire thing has to be grayscale. So I went back in, made the entire costume grayscale. I initially had put stickers over her face as well, so her entire face was grayscale, but the problem with this is stickers, when layered on top of the face, actually sit atop the makeup, which means you lose all those makeup details. I decided that I really wanted the makeup there because I thought the makeup really spoke to that time and that sort of era of how they thought aliens would look. So anyhow, I think it turned out pretty good. As well, you'll notice I put some zipper stickers on her legs and her arms to sort of give the illusion of this sort of tinfoil armor.